and will be public. So this is the Storage SIG June 8th. I'm going to walk through the agenda. Google is out. They are on an offsite, and Saad asked me to run this in its place. There's a couple issues on our agenda, and we also need to go through our planning spreadsheet for 1.7 and knock anything off that's didn't make it. So let me start there. I know some of these features are owned by people not on the call, so if everybody's here, we'll just skip over them. Hemant, the NFS wedging issue.
Yes. So, no, we are not going to do this in 1.7. We'll have to write a proposal for 1.8.
Okay. Stabilizing AWS support for EBS.
There's nothing much going on there now. We need to get some end-to-end tests for AWS though, like some disruptive tests. I don't think disruptive tests are running for AWS, so that is that.
Okay, we have Justin Santa Barbara and Jing Zhu assigned to this one. Are either of them on the call?
Yeah.
Is there an issue?
Can one of you guys confirm that you're agreeing on this?
Sorry, Brad?
Jing? Can Justin or Jing confirm that they're agreeing on this feature?
I mean, this is an ongoing thing, so we never really tracked it. So it's just one of those things that we don't have a whole lot of going on there. We just need to get some end-to-end tests done. That's all.
Okay. So I'll leave it alone. Stabilizing Azure support, Alexander Block. You on?
We have a stress test to run the Azure storage. Basically, just create a bunch of stateful sets and create multiple. Actually, the test itself is just create for multiple stateful sets in parallel to stress the Azure storage stack, and it looks okay at this point.
Okay.
And we also have UTU test for Azure.
Okay.
Brad, are you sharing your spreadsheets? Because I don't see it on the screen.
Yeah, do you guys not see it?
I just see the chart board.
Same.
Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this one as it sits. It sounds like it's still in progress, but not completely done.
Oh, that's one thing. The two kiosks, let's see. Alexa open. One is already merged. The other one is under review. Just need approval from staff.
Okay.
The second one.
So out of tree volume plugins, that's not here. I know that they were working on the spec, but I don't believe that this was merged. Leave it alone. Local storage. Is Junior Vischer? I saw the PR merge for this, but I'd like them to validate that it's considered done. Same with local persistent storage. I'll leave that for them to validate. Testing. Ms. Boyd.
Hi.
This...
So I had put a kind of ask in the agenda to discuss it. Do you want to go into it now, or you want to get through all these first?
We can wait until later.
Okay.
Okay. Cloud provider storage metrics. Hekumar, is this complete?
Yes, that's complete. And
Snapshots. I know this is still in progress, and this is not necessarily tied directly to the 1.7 release process. I'm going to put it started. Not done. Dynamic update. Okay, that's not done. Or not started, not started. Add support for resizing PVs. I believe this fell out.
yeah, but it started, right? I mean, we had to move it to the next milestone. There's a proposal out there open.
Touch detach controller restart handling.
It's still the same. The more important part is done. The other one needs API change, and that has not moved since last time.
So, Marsh, this is on the bug side of things. Is this something we can still fix for 1.7, or that we should still fix for 1.7?
I don't think I will have it in 1.7 because, as I mentioned, the other bug that's part of this topic requires API change, and it's too late for that, I think.
Okay. These two are not started. Provisioning configuration of PVC. Done? Not started?
I have a proposal there, but it has slipped to 1.8.
Okay. Improve containerized mounts. Started. Improve CHR. True TAC. Status. That's from Jing. Fix broken volume reconstruction. Chakri, you here? Because I know. Leave that blank. Storage OS volume plugin.
Yeah, that's due to, we got an extension on the PR. It's in sort of final review now. I've got a couple of updates to make, mostly to the documentation, and hopefully it'll get in tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Enter and see there. Who's doing stuff today?
Azure DB refactored.
Yeah, this isn't going to be in 1.7. We're going to break this down into smaller PRs because this was a little more far-reaching than we wanted to see in one PR. We also need to decide, and this will be an interesting test case, does this actually belong in SIG Azure, because it's going to be mostly the Azure cloud provider that's going to be affected in this.
Okay, so is there a storage touch point, or is it more cloud provider Azure touch points?
Mostly cloud provider Azure. There may have been some refactor that was tried to put into the actual disk underlying systems, but as far as I know, we're going to try and avoid that. So we're going to restart work on this and rethink how we're approaching it. And Wamin was super helpful in kind of shaping the thought on that. So are you here, Wamin? If so, thank you very much for.
Yeah. Then let me know. Anything I can help, I'm good with that.
We'll do that. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So there's our 1.7 feature list. Any comments? No. Okay. Let's go through the rest of the agenda. Adding a new volume plugin for Rook.
Yeah, this is Travis from the Rook team. We opened this pull request a week or two ago, and we had originally proposed for 1.7, but it's going to take a little more work, so we're waiting for 1.8 to get this in. And there was some design question in the PR. Some discussion with Saad and someone else, Liggett. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is probably isn't the right place to have the design discussion, but I just want to get it some attention as far as the the way to have an out of tree plugin communicate with with in-tree. Basically, we have an out of tree controller or operator that's watching it, so we want to have that communication done in a Kubernetes native way, whether it's TPRs or CRDs are the proposed way. But.
Okay. Do you want to maybe have a Cabal, like a storage SIG call that's maybe an hour to talk about the design?
Okay.
Can you set that up? You have a video conferencing access?
Mm-hmm. Just send it to this group for whoever's interested, or
Jordan is not in the storage SIG group, but we can definitely forward the invitation if you have any to Jordan. That's a linkage on the GitHub.
Yeah, so I'd say send it to the group, and then one of us can ping Jordan and ask him if he'll join.
Okay, will do.
All right, so our next pull request, implement proposal 34058, host path volume type. Who can speak to this?
How is this different than the local storage persistent ephemeral one that Michelle's working on? Just out of curiosity. I haven't had the time to read through it.
So host path, I would assume, would be existing paths on the host with a local storage, mainly address new volume or new space, new partitions.
Sorry guys, I added this today. I'm sorry, I was talking, I was on mute. This is Luis. I added this because I just wanted to make sure that the SIG was following this. I see that the implementation was part of SIG Storage, but sorry, the proposal is part of SIG Storage label, but the implementation, I don't see it being followed by SIG Storage. So I wanted to see if the SIG was going to follow this proposal.
Because do you feel like it's not the pattern we want to take for, I mean, the local storage implementation using the PV is probably the way we want to implement the consistency model for host paths. So are you bringing it to our attention to see if?
Yeah, I'm bringing it to attention. So it's one, what you just said, and two, if it passes, when will it be released? So just for the SIG attention, I brought it up. Everything.
Thank you, Luis.
So I'm going to put it on the feature sheet.
Maybe we need to invite them to the SIG. I don't know what the typical.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that the implementation had SIG storage label on it. I'm sorry, the proposal. I know Saad knows about it. But that's the only Saad and this person from Vish also knows about it. Vish Kanan.
Right, and Vish was on the local storage prop. He originally proposed it with Michelle as co-author. So
All right, I'll put my cell phone in this, and then I'll talk to Saad sometime to figure out about when this is going to come to an end.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to take notes in here. All right, so that's all the PRs. Unless anybody has some last minute one to drop here. All right, move on to design review. Create a standalone library to support host side volume discovery and management. Anybody here to speak to that?
So I just read it, the issue, and I don't think that's the problem at all. The intention, as I guess from the context, is that if you are provisioning EBS and you want to attach to the host, that is outside of the AWS, you get into trouble. But if you want to do that, your cloud provider initialization will fail. Because if you want to start a cloud provider into a cloud provider, it detects if whether you are running in AWS or not. Otherwise, this won't even start. So I don't think that's an issue at all. It's kind of self-guarded, the cloud provider, against this case. So I don't think we need an additional discovery library, because the library is already embedded in the cloud provider.
Hi, this is Howard. I work with Leon. We're from the OpenSCS team. So basically, the idea was brought from our experience in OpenStack. So in OpenStack, there's a module called OSBreak to basically serve as a public library to do the attach and detach for various protocols, iSCSI, FC, and etc. So we are thinking about maybe bringing this feature to Kubernetes, maybe the kubelet, so that most of the attach, detach operations could just import this library and then use it. Basically, everyone could use it because most of the functionalities are common and public operations.
Can you give an example?
I don't know if Leon is on. So I think, for example, just for a typical storage array supporting iSCSI. So when we didn't have this library, basically you just write the attach and detach functionalities within the plugin, right? But if you could have this common library, then you could just basically just use it and use the iSCSI code in the library. So that's the way we currently doing in OpenStack. I think it would be the best practice that we could bring in for Kubernetes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But there's a limitation. The way OpenStack uses OS Brick, you have for hypervisors, one way for hypervisors and one way for Cinder. The Fabric connection is through the hypervisor library, and somehow we don't really have the, when we are running Kubernetes and containers, we don't really have a hypervisor assumed that's to exist. So the common libraries in OS Brick, which makes sense to hypervisors, may not make sense to the containers or plugins.
No, the OS Brick does not operate on the hypervisor level. It's on the host side.
Yeah, but it's used by the Nova, as I said last time, unless they made changes. But I think that's a good idea.
Could be used by Nova, but actually we tried with the like bare metal pod, and it works as well.
Right. So if you can put up a proposal, that's could be.
Sure. So we want to just run this idea by the folks. If people are interested, then we will send out a PR with a more specific spec for you guys to review. Okay.
Great.
Okay, so sounds like you're going to come up with a little more detailed design, and then you want to schedule a separate call to do that, or maybe a demo in the next storage SIG?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I know we have put off, okay, well, first, is there any other designs, discussions, any other PRs that you were talking about?
I don't have a PR put in it because I still have all my stuff in a Google Doc, but I did schedule a meeting for tomorrow morning to discuss the local block proposal. I'm going to take it from my Google Doc and put it in the PR today. I'll paste it into this document, but I hope everyone can attend. I've had a lot of feedback from the community around it, so I wanted to make sure we were on track and on scope. Just want to mention that. I sent it to the SIG mailing list, the invite. Please let me know if you didn't get it. This is Aaron, by the way.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Did you say that you're working on a design doc that you'll send out, or is there a piece of one?
I have it in a Google Doc now. I haven't put it into GitHub as official proposal, but I'll do it even if it's not quite 100% ready in the next hour or so.
So what time tomorrow?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just jumped in. So what time tomorrow?
10 a.m. Mountain, so noon Eastern.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
So Aaron, on the snapshot document, I think we found it pretty useful to discuss in Google Docs first. I don't know if you want to leave it there and maybe save yourself some time and writing it up as Markdown.
Yeah, if that's okay with everyone. I just didn't know if that's proper because I know when we looked at snapshots, we kind of looked at it a little bit internally and then moved it to the PR for the wider community. So I just want to make sure it was kosher if I left it in there, that everyone in the community was okay with that.
For the early stages of design, I think you would, unless you're fairly confident that this design is exactly how it's going to go. If you are, then I think Markdown is just fine. If you feel that there's some wiggle room or some points that need further clarification, then it might work just leaving it in Google Doc for now. It's up to you either way.
I mean, yeah, given the churn of every single design decision we've made on the SIG, I don't think anyone can say with any confidence that they think that that's the right thing out of the gate. I think we have a lot of great opinions in this group. So I'll just leave it in the Google Doc then and pass that out after this meeting.
Okay. All right. So onboarding docs and process. This is another thing I'd like Google to probably be present for while we discuss, just so that we don't make any decisions that they're adamantly against for whatever reason. Is there anything we want to discuss in kind of a shallower context regarding this right now, or is everyone okay putting this off? I guess, is there any urgency for this issue?
Did I misunderstand? Did you say that people are against creating onboarding docs?
No, I'm not against it. What I'm saying is, like, it's the onboarding docs and the process for officially onboarding. I want to make sure that Google is part of the discussion of that process, since they pretty much own the repo. So I'm a little hesitant to go over and like come up with docs and process and then show it to them and then take it back. But I'm asking if there's any urgency to us discussing this right now, or if everybody's okay tabling this until the next storage thing.
I don't mind to the next one. This is Luis, but I just want to. The question is, what do you mean by onboarding? Onboarding as in becoming part of the SIG?
Not part of it. Well, so two pieces to it really. There's the actual like committer or joining the Kubernetes organization, so being added to that list and having approve or review privileges on different areas of the code. I think that's what this is really wanting to go over. Joining the SIG itself, pretty much all you have to do is show up. You know, like there's...
That sounds like a PTL kind of thing. I don't think you even need the SIG for that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna...
Hi, this is Tushar from VMware, and I have a few questions about this. So my team contributes to vSphere Cloud Provider, and we have done some work. So there we are basically implementing the APIs that Kubernetes community has put together, and we have not done any real contribution to the API as such, but we are trying to change that by participating in volume snapshot and other proposals that are in the community right now. But we have done some contribution in terms of end-to-end tests that are now being ported to AWS and GC, if I understand correctly. So what we are struggling with is, we want to contribute to, apart from just being contributing to just vSphere code base or vSphere specific code base, we want to contribute to core Kubernetes. So I would like to know more. Maybe I can take it offline. How we can, so what is the onboarding process looks like? Are there any issues that we can pick up? Yeah.
Right. So the amount that me and Saad have talked about this with Brian Grant was that there's, some mass amount of code that people have to, show that they've contributed and that they know what's going on. And once they reach so many lines of code that they've actually got committed, then they can be added to the organization. Beyond that, the process isn't really well defined. I know that tests and bugs and, are probably like the first order things that people can pick up to, actually gain the weight of code that's required to get onboarded. But we haven't come up with those docs yet. And my suspicion is that this bullet point is here for us to come up with some kind of working group to more solidly define that.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, nothing exists, no process or no onboarding process exists here.
Correct.
Is that okay?
That's
yeah,
correct.
Let us know how we can help. I can take it offline.
Okay, so I know that there's a flag on GitHub issues, a help wanted. That's probably a good place to start if you're wanting to start. It could take a couple weeks. For sure, it'll take a couple weeks because it's not until the next storage SIG until we'll address this again. So if you're wanting to get started, look for PRs that are marked help wanted and pick those up, or issues.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my point is that we are already contributing. So my team, we have now 4 people who are contributing to Kubernetes. So they are not beginners. So they are familiar with the process, but they just, instead of fixing random PRs here and there, they want to pick up something meaningful. For example, if volume snapshot proposal is out there and you want some help from the community to prototype it, something like that, something substantial which is in storage space for Kubernetes, which is not vSphere, so that we are giving back to the community. That is what I'm looking for. So not just random PRs to just get familiar with Kubernetes.
So for the snapshots, I think that's a good point. And Thomas and Jin are leading the project. I don't think anybody is working on the VMware vSphere volume snapshots yet, or cloud provider yet. So if you can help Thomas and Jin look that out, that is great.
Yeah. So we are actually actively discussing it. There are two people from my team who are actually commenting on the document. So we are doing the vSphere part, so that is covered. That I can assure you. What I'm hoping is, I know others on the call also may have the similar question, that we want to, instead of just taking from the community and implementing it and hopefully making some money from it, we want to contribute to core Kubernetes just to be a good citizen. So that's what I was looking for.
The only thing that I suggest in this onboarding process is that we consider, in the same way that OpenStack does it, is that they're called core reviewers. And the reviewing is sometimes more important than sending the code. We get a lot of code, but we get very little reviewers, right? And so I would say that if your team wants to participate more, that they become, reviewers of more things. So that's my suggestion, that onboarding should not so much about the implementation of some code, but the reviewing of and participation of more issues.
I completely agree. So should we just jump on issues that we find interesting and tag ourselves as reviewers?
Yeah,
or how does
absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Right, and I expect more of this on our next SIG call. Right, so testing update. Aaron, you want to give us an update?
Yes, thank you. So I kind of misspoke when I had originally added this to the document. So I just wanted to clarify, the CNCF has come forward with the desire to kind of have testing environment so that we're able to test everything that's in tree to the best of our ability. And we all know that it's been a constant challenge to have a test environment to debug things and to test things. And so what we're trying to do is work with the CNCF and various vendors on understanding what needs to be done, what kind of hardware that would require, and how we would share that. So we had a pretty lengthy discussion around getting started on that process. With that, we came to the consensus, and I sent this out in a separate storage SIG email. Anyone contributing code to Kubernetes core and wanting to have their plugin as part of this kind of federated testing environment, we're kind of looking to solicit the community on representatives of this. Not just code, but really time. The only thing that will make it successful is that people are willing to put time forward to make it happen. So if you're on the call and that's something you desire and you represent a storage vendor, then please seek me out and we can talk about it more in length. But again, this is just at the infancy. We're trying to really figure out how it's going to work and how it's going to maintain itself long term. So I'm just reporting that as part of the status moving forward. We had some kind of stale PRs on the list that have since been resolved. And I've actually had a few people reach out to me since last week that are also interested in getting onboarded to help out with testing. I personally think this is a great way to contribute as a new contributor to the community and to storage is through test. You learn a lot. You learn a lot even more than storage, but if you're doing end-to-end tests, the interaction with the other components in Kubernetes. So I encourage anyone new to the project to please reach out to me and, we can try to find something appropriate for you to work on. So otherwise, I think that's where we are with testing. We have a couple scale PRs that we're working towards that are pretty important to the reliability of storage. And then we'll just, as we close out 1.7 again, redo the process of looking at new bugs and regressions to make sure we have proper test coverage. that is it.
Okay, Aaron, if people want to participate, what's the best way to get involved?
There is a standing, maybe I don't have it on the, I have part of the Kubernetes SIG Google groups. There is a meeting every other week. It's called EDE Storage Test Meeting. That would be the place to show up. It's not included in this meeting because we generally don't have enough time. But if for some reason that isn't on your calendar, please let me know. I can resend the invite if you have joined that community after the fact. And then I will make sure I have it on the Cube community calendar as well. Steve Wong, I know you're on the call. Did I neglect anything that we discussed last week?
No, I think that was a great summary. I know at the last end-to-end test meeting that I took an action item for a block of test cases that were submitted originally by VMware. And we were inquiring in that meeting as to whether those could be genericized. Now, I know a number of VMware people are on this call right now, but I did check with them and they thought that those test cases actually were in a state where, even though they're tagged and labeled as vSphere tests, that they thought they would run on generic storage of all forms in most cases. But those were the only two test things here. And if anybody from VMware is on the call and wants to embellish what I just said, go for it.
No, I guess, Steve, you are right. And so we have, so the one from my team has written these test cases such that they can be made generic. If they're not, we'll help out. Yeah. I know we are following up online anyway, but let us know. And then we'll attend the meeting tomorrow as well.
Okay, great. And I think I canceled the meeting for tomorrow because we had one last week. So I think we
would have conflicted with that local storage too, right?
Yeah, we can talk about the local storage too. Yeah, but I'm just, the EDE test meeting won't be, I think, for 2 weeks because I'm out next week as well. But
yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Whenever it is appropriate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other last minute topics or questions or discussions? Remaining 18 minutes.
Oh, I got one for the subset of the people who might be interested in the container storage interface, the CSI. There is a meeting tomorrow morning by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation.
How do we find out more about that?
I think you would join that, what do they call it? I don't think they call it a storage SIG, but within the CNCF, there's a storage working group, I believe. And if you join that, then the invitation notice will go out.
There's a notice sent out to the storage SIG as well, right, with the time.
I think there might have been, yeah. I
think that's something.
I think Tim Kids had sent it out.
I don't recall seeing that. Can someone paste in the invite here? I mean, Luis, did you not get it either? Maybe
no, the first time I heard of it, so I like to.
I think that maybe they might want people to actually formally join the group to participate. You know, I don't know if the invite might be restricted. I just don't want to encroach on the CNCF because.
Oh, sure, totally get it. But how do we formally join that? I guess that's what I'm more asking. I'm missing that.
I think the work group send out a formal link, say you need to fill in why and what do you want to contribute to that storage WG. So let me find the link. I may paste in the chat area.
I think it's in the backlog of the Kubernetes storage SIG messages if you go back. And
let me find it and paste in here.
Part of the procedure has you describe your vendor affiliation too. So they might not want totally anonymous drop-ins on this thing. So I'll respect that if that's their attitude.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for mentioning that.
Okay, any other topics? Going once, going twice. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye, thanks.